Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Napoleon Hill, and I have come to remind you of a truth so fierce, so liberating, that once it enters your soul, you will never again bow to fear, doubt, or the noise of the world. Because life, my dear listener, is not something happening to you. It is something happening through you. You are not here to be a victim of circumstance. You are here to become the master of mind, the governor of emotion, and the architect of destiny. There will come a time in your life when you are tested not by enemies, but by silence, not by chaos, but by stillness. And it is in that stillness that you will meet yourself. That is where the first lesson begins. You are not what happens to you. You are what you choose to become through it. The greatest illusion of the modern age is that your peace depends on others, on their love, on their approval, on their presence or their absence. But I tell you, peace is not given by the world. It is forged in the furnace of your own mind. Until you understand that truth, you will remain a slave, reacting to every insult, every disappointment, every shift in the wind. But once you awaken, truly awaken, you realize that nobody and nothing can shake a soul that has found its center. You see, people spend their lives trying to control the outer world. Jobs, relationships, opinions, outcomes. They fight, they grasp, they cling. And yet, the man who commands his inner world no longer needs to control anything else. Because power, real power, is not domination. It is alignment. It is when your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions stand together like soldiers of a single purpose. Then the storms may come, and you will still stand. Then betrayal may strike, and you will still stand. Then the world may doubt you, dismiss you, or desert you, and still you will stand. For what is the strength of a mountain? It is not that it avoids the wind, but that it remains unmoved by it. Let me tell you something most will never understand. You were not meant to be comfortable. You were meant to be awake. Comfort is the language of the weak. Growth speaks in discomfort, discipline, and deliberate struggle. The soul expands only when stretched beyond the limits of habit and fear. You say you want peace, but peace without purpose is apathy. You say you want freedom, but freedom without discipline is chaos. You say you want love, but love without self-respect becomes dependency. And dependency is the quiet poison of the spirit. It is what turns kings into beggars and creators into consumers of validation. So here is the second great lesson. You will never be free until you no longer need to be understood. Because the moment you live for others' approval, you surrender your crown. You hand over the keys to your own mind, and they become the authors of your mood, the sculptors of your energy. The world will tell you who you should be, but you must rise each morning and remind the world who you are. Understand this. There will always be noise, distractions dressed as duties, opinions dressed as facts, judgments dressed as truth. But the wise man walks among them untouched, for he knows that all noise fades in the presence of clarity. You must become so deeply rooted in your purpose that the world's noise becomes irrelevant. When they insult you, smile. When they misunderstand you, stay silent. When they leave, bless them, because the one who needs nothing cannot be controlled by anything. That is the third great lesson. Detachment is not the absence of love. It is the presence of power. To love without clinging, to give without expectation, to serve without needing recognition. This is freedom. This is mastery. You were never meant to control people, outcomes, or the tides of time. You were meant to control yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions. When you master that, life bends to you, not because you dominate it, but because you have harmonized with it. Look around you. Most people are drowning in a sea of reaction. Their minds are noisy, their hearts restless. They wake up every day and surrender to distraction, scrolling through illusions, chasing after validation, numbing their divine potential. They call it living. But it is sleepwalking. The true warrior is awake, fully, fiercely awake. He does not seek the path of least resistance, he seeks the path of most revelation. He knows that discomfort is a teacher and solitude a sacred mirror. When you walk alone for a while, you discover who walks within you. Hear me now, the enemy is not outside, it never was. The enemy is within: fear, doubt, laziness, envy, and the hunger to be liked. Destroy these illusions, and nothing outside of you will ever have power again. But to destroy them, you must first face them. You must stare into the mirror and see both your greatness and your cowardice, and choose greatness again and again. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the mastery of it. It is when you walk forward with trembling hands and a steady heart. Every time you rise after failure, you train your spirit. Every time you stay calm in chaos, you declare your dominion. Every time you forgive when it hurts, you expand your strength. You become the unshakable one, the silent storm, the soul on fire. There is a sacred power that awakens when you stop blaming and start building, when you stop waiting and start walking, when you stop fearing and start focusing. Listen carefully. Nobody can take from you what you no longer need. No betrayal can wound you when your validation comes from within. No loss can destroy you when you understand that nothing real can ever be lost, only transformed. Life will test you, not to punish you, but to purify you, to strip away every illusion that ever made you believe you were small. So when you are hurt, when you are doubted, when you are alone, give thanks. It means you are being refined. It means the old version of you is dying, and something eternal is being born. The next time someone offends you, pause. Ask yourself, why am I reacting? What part of me feels threatened? That question is the beginning of liberation, because reaction is the language of the unconscious. Response is the language of mastery. To respond instead of react, to choose calm over chaos, truth over ego, presence over panic, that is evolution, and it begins in silence. Learn to sit with your thoughts until they reveal their roots. Learn to be still until your emotions lose their grip. Learn to listen, not to the world, but to the whisper within. That whisper is the voice of the infinite, reminding you you were never broken. You were simply unaware of your own power. Remember this truth, and let it echo in your being. You are the cause, not the effect. You are the creator, not the victim. You are the master, not the slave. Your mind is the forge of your destiny. Your focus is the blade that cuts through illusion. And your will, oh, your will, is the fire that transforms weakness into wisdom. But few will ever learn this, because it demands stillness. It demands responsibility. It demands a death, the death of who you once were. So I ask you, are you ready to die to your old self? Are you ready to stop being swayed by opinions, controlled by fear, distracted by noise? Are you ready to reclaim your divine authority over your own mind? Then walk with me, because in part 2 we go deeper. We will enter the chamber of discipline, where the weak are broken and the strong are reborn, where emotion bows to purpose, and where your mind becomes a weapon for greatness. You will learn how to master your thoughts, fortify your spirit, and move through life untouchable, calm, clear, and unstoppable. Listen closely, for the journey we began is not a walk through comfort. It is a pilgrimage through fire. In part 1, you awaken to the truth that no one and nothing can disturb the soul that stands in its own power. Now, you must learn the next truth, the one that separates the dreamers from the disciplined, the wishers from the warriors. Freedom demands discipline. And I tell you, there is no mastery without it. You see, every man and woman desires greatness. They crave peace, purpose, prosperity, but few are willing to endure the silence, the structure, the sacrifice required to earn it. They want the crown, but not the weight. They want the light, but not the heat. They want success, but not the solitude that forges it. But the truth, the hard, immovable truth, is this: discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you are destined to become. The unshakable mind is not born, it is built. It is built in the quiet hours when no one is watching. It is built when you rise while the world sleeps, when you work while others wait, when you persist when comfort whispers, stop. Each time you command your mind instead of surrendering to it, you sharpen the sword of self-mastery. And that sword, forged in discomfort, honed in repetition, will one day cut through every illusion that once bound you. Because discipline, my friend, is divine order in human form. I have said before that your thoughts are things, living entities that shape your world. But what governs thought? What commands it, aligns it, sustains it? Discipline. Without it, the mind becomes a playground for chaos. With it, the mind becomes an instrument of creation. Discipline is not punishment. It is alignment with purpose. It is love in its highest form, love for your destiny, love for your potential, love for the man or woman you are becoming. When you say, I will rise early, and you do, that is love. When you say, I will remain calm, and you do, that is power. When you say, I will not be moved by fear, and you stand firm, that is sovereignty. Most people do not fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack follow-through. They confuse motivation with commitment. Motivation ignites you. Commitment keeps the flame alive when the wind howls. The disciplined mind does not ask, do I feel like it? It asks, is it necessary? And then it acts, with precision, with intention, with quiet, unwavering conviction. Because discipline does not negotiate with emotion. It commands it. Hear this truth and let it pierce you. The man who conquers his mind conquers the world. But the man who serves his emotions is ruled by them forever. So you must choose, every day, who will sit upon the throne of your being, your will or your weakness, your focus or your fear, your purpose or your pain. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot build an empire while entertaining excuses. You cannot walk the path of peace while indulging every impulse. The path to mastery is not a straight line, it is a spiral. You will return to the same lessons again and again, each time with greater awareness, greater control, greater depth. That is how the soul evolves. Let me tell you something, the undisciplined mind will never understand every act of control creates energy. Every moment of restraint builds power. Every time you delay gratification, your spirit grows stronger than the body that houses it. When you say no to distraction, you say yes to destiny. When you say no to indulgence, you say yes to expansion. When you say no to weakness, you say yes to worth. And that yes, that sacred, silent yes, is the roar of greatness echoing within you. Discipline is not found in grand gestures. It is born in small, consistent acts of self-respect. The way you keep your word. The way you organize your thoughts before you speak. The way you sit in silence and train your attention like a hawk. For attention, not time, is your true wealth. And what you focus upon, you become. So guard your focus as you would guard your soul. Do not hand it to every voice that shouts for it. Do not scatter it on the altar of distraction. Reclaim it, refine it, rule it. There is a sacred rhythm to a disciplined life. Wake with purpose, work with clarity, rest with gratitude, repeat with devotion. This rhythm builds momentum, and momentum is the unseen hand of God moving through your life. But once you break that rhythm, once you allow laziness, doubt, or chaos to enter, you sever your connection with the divine order that fuels achievement. So when you feel tired, continue. When you feel lost, stay the course. When you feel unappreciated, remember, you are not doing it for applause. You are doing it for alignment. Discipline is not glamorous. It will not always feel good. Some days it will feel like walking through fire. But fire is not your enemy. It is your purifier. Every disciplined day burns away a piece of your weakness, your vanity, your excuses, until only truth remains. And truth, my friend, is untouchable. The man who lives by truth does not chase happiness. He radiates it. He does not seek peace. He embodies it. He does not beg for respect. He commands it through the quiet authority of his being. Remember this, the greatest battles are fought in silence. You may never post your victories. You may never be praised for your progress. But every time you choose discipline over distraction, you move mountains within yourself. And though the world may not see it yet, it will. Because the inner always becomes the outer. The invisible becomes visible. The disciplined mind shapes the undisciplined world. So never underestimate the quiet work, the early mornings, the meditations, the self-reflections, the unseen hours of devotion. Those are not wasted moments. They are sacred investments. Let me offer you a law of the mind. Energy flows where attention goes, and attention flows where discipline grows. If you cannot hold focus, you cannot hold power. If you cannot master your routine, you cannot master your results. You may speak affirmations all day, but without discipline, they are words without roots. Discipline is what grounds desire in reality. It transforms wishful thinking into tangible creation. This is how you become unshakable, not by avoiding chaos, but by being disciplined in the midst of it, not by silencing the noise, but by remaining undisturbed by it. When the storm comes, and it will, you do not panic, you breathe, you return to your rhythm, you execute your disciplines, and you trust that consistency will carry you where emotion cannot. This is the way of the master. He does not chase, he creates. He does not beg, he builds. He does not react, he responds. Every day, he strengthens his will until it becomes iron, unbending, unyielding, unbreakable. For the disciplined mind is a fortress, and inside that fortress, peace reigns supreme. And yet there is one more truth, one final layer to this awakening. Discipline alone without purpose becomes imprisonment. To be truly unshakable, your discipline must be guided by meaning. In the next chapter, we will descend deeper, beyond structure, beyond repetition, into the fire of purpose, where the disciplined mind meets the divine mission, where your effort becomes effortless because it is powered by vision, where every action, every sacrifice, every breath becomes sacred. That is where transformation becomes transcendence. Listen carefully, my friend, for what I am about to tell you will ignite the deepest part of your being. You have learned that no one can shake the mind anchored in its own truth. You have learned that discipline is the bridge to mastery. But now we enter the sacred chamber where discipline meets divine direction, where routine transforms into revelation, and effort turns into effortlessness. This is the fire of purpose. Without it, even the most disciplined life becomes hollow. Without it, even success feels meaningless, because discipline without direction is motion without meaning. You see, the greatest tragedy is not failure. It is living a life that does not set your soul on fire. Most people exist, but few live. They follow rules, not calling. They obey schedules, not spirit. They trade their passion for paychecks, and then wonder why the fire inside them grows dim. But the truth is, you were not born to chase comfort. You were born to carry light. There is something within you, a seed, a spark, a divine blueprint, that longs to be expressed. It will not be silenced by conformity. It will not be satisfied by mediocrity. It will whisper to you in quiet moments and roar at you in times of despair. Wake up. There is more. Purpose is not something you find. It is something you remember. It was written into your being before you took your first breath. But life, in its noise and its numbness, makes you forget. It buries your truth under layers of fear, opinion, and responsibility. It trains you to trade passion for practicality, vision for validation, and so the fire fades, but it never dies. One day something happens, a heartbreak, a failure, a loss, and in that pain the whisper returns. You remember that you were not born to survive. You were born to serve, not to impress the world, but to express what God placed within you. That, my friend, is purpose. Purpose gives discipline its direction. It transforms every mundane task into sacred work. It gives meaning to struggle and beauty to sacrifice. When you move with purpose, you are no longer driven by ego or fear. You are guided by something larger, something eternal. The universe itself begins to conspire in your favor. Doors open, opportunities align, coincidences multiply. Because purpose is magnetic, it pulls you toward what was always meant for you. Let me tell you the truth about power. Power without purpose corrupts. Purpose without power collapses. But when the two unite, when your disciplined mind is ignited by divine purpose, you become unstoppable. You are no longer working for something. You are working from something, from vision, from clarity, from conviction. Then your actions are not reactions. They are revelations. You are not chasing, you are creating. You are not surviving, you are serving. Understand this. Every great soul that ever walked this earth burned with a purpose so fierce it consumed their fear. Jesus had it. Buddha had it. Martin Luther King Jr. had it. They were not driven by applause or comfort. They were driven by conviction. They had seen a vision so vivid that the world's resistance became irrelevant. You too must find that vision. Because until you do, you will continue to drift, disciplined, maybe, but directionless. And a life without direction is a ship without a sail, no matter how strong the wind. How do you find your purpose? Not by thinking, but by feeling. Not by asking, what do I want? But what am I willing to suffer for? Because purpose always lives where passion meets pain. The thing that breaks your heart may be the very thing you were born to heal. The problem that angers you may be the one you were meant to solve. The injustice that torments you may be the one you were created to confront. Your pain is not punishment, it is placement. It shows you where your power belongs. Once you know your purpose, every decision becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. You stop saying yes to everything that shines. You stop seeking validation from those who cannot see your vision. You stop wasting your energy proving your worth, because your worth is proven by your purpose. And suddenly, peace is no longer a prize. It is the byproduct of alignment. The storms may rage, the critics may shout, but within you burns a fire that cannot be extinguished. That is why I tell you purpose is not found in comfort. It is revealed through challenge. Every obstacle is a messenger. Every delay, a detour to your destiny. The moment you stop resisting them, they start refining you. When your life aligns with purpose, discipline transforms from duty into devotion. You no longer drag yourself forward, you are drawn forward. The same routines that once felt heavy now feel holy. Because you are no longer acting out of fear. You are serving out of faith. Faith that your efforts matter. Faith that your timing is divine. Faith that every step, even the uncertain one, is guided by something greater than logic. But hear me, purpose does not exempt you from pain. In fact, it demands it. The higher the calling, the deeper the crucible. Because to carry great purpose, you must first be purified of all that is small. Your ego will scream. Your fears will resist. Your comfort will beg for mercy. But do not retreat. When the fire of purpose burns hot, it is not there to destroy you. It is there to distill you, to separate the gold from the dust, the truth from illusion, the eternal from the temporary. Only then can you walk the earth untouchable. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Listen, the goal is not to live forever. It is to live fully. To live so aligned with your truth that even death cannot erase your impact. Legacy is not built through achievements. It is born through authenticity. When you live your purpose, your energy becomes immortal. Your presence changes rooms. Your words shift lives. Your actions ripple through time. And all of it begins with this vow: I will no longer betray my purpose for temporary approval. The world needs more people who are alive, not just existing, not just functioning, but alive. Alive with vision. Alive with conviction. Alive with love so fierce it pierces through despair. You, my friend, were born to be one of them. You were born to show others what it means to live awake, to rise each day with a mission that stretches beyond yourself, to walk through this world as a vessel of light, steady, humble, and unshakable. That is what it means to live with purpose. That is what it means to become untouchable. But before you can carry that light into the world, you must confront the final battle. The battle every seeker faces, the war between ego and surrender, because even purpose, when mixed with pride, becomes poison. You must learn the art of letting go, of outcomes, of control, of the need to be the source of everything. Discipline gave you structure. Purpose gave you direction. Now surrender will give you peace. That is the next awakening. That is the final frontier. In the next and final chapter, we will step into the sacred paradox, where you realize that the more you let go, the more power you gain. Where control gives way to clarity and striving transforms into flow. Where you no longer chase life, life begins to move through you. That is where the truly unshakable live. That is where masters are made. Now listen, and listen with the ears of the Spirit. You have walked through the fire of awareness. You have built the fortress of discipline. You have ignited the flame of purpose. And now, you stand at the threshold of the greatest lesson of all. The lesson that will free you from all inner conflict, all outer chaos, all fear, all doubt. It is the lesson of surrender. Do not mistake surrender for weakness. It is not the giving up of power. It is the transcendence of control. Surrender is the quiet knowing that what is for you cannot be taken, and what is not for you cannot be forced. It is the ability to act with absolute commitment, and yet release the outcome with absolute peace. It is the mastery beyond mastery, the moment when even your will bows before wisdom. For years, humanity has been taught that control equals strength. But control is the armor of fear, and fear always breaks under pressure. True power, the kind that makes you untouchable, is the ability to walk through uncertainty with faith, to move without needing proof, to act without needing assurance, to trust the unseen hand that guides all things. You see, the disciplined mind builds power, the purposeful mind directs it, but the surrendered mind becomes one with it. And when you become one with power itself, there is no opposition left, because opposition can only exist where separation lives. In surrender, you realize there is no me against life. There is only life moving through you. You are not the wave fighting the ocean. You are the ocean remembering itself through the wave. Surrender is the death of resistance. It is the quiet revolution where you stop wrestling with what is and start creating from what can be. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start declaring, "This is happening for me." You begin to see the divine choreography in what once felt like chaos. Every delay becomes direction. Every rejection becomes redirection. Every loss becomes liberation. And in that moment, in that sacred recognition, you rise above circumstance. Because the unshakable soul does not demand that life obey its plan. It trusts that life is the plan. Let me tell you something that will change your life forever. You cannot control outcomes, but you can always control alignment. When you are aligned, with truth, with purpose, with divine order, what needs to unfold will unfold. No force, no manipulation, no exhaustion required. The flowers do not strive to bloom. They open because it is their nature to do so. You too must learn to live in that flow, where action meets allowance, and doing merges with being. This is not passivity, it is power in its purest form. Because when you act from flow, every step is guided, every word inspired, every moment sacred. You cease fighting for control and instead become a vessel for creation. Surrender is the mind's highest intelligence. The knowing that not every battle deserves your energy, not every opinion deserves your response, not every outcome deserves your fear. You realize that control is an illusion, and freedom is its release. Most people are exhausted not because they do too much, but because they resist too much. They fight reality. They cling to should, and must, and mine. And in that clinging, they suffer. Surrender ends the suffering, not by changing life, but by changing your relationship to it. When you stop resisting, energy returns. When you stop forcing, creativity flows. When you stop fearing, peace enters. Let go. Let go of the need to be right. Let go of the need to be recognized. Let go of the need to control how others see you. You do not need to manage perception when you live in truth. You do not need to chase validation when you embody purpose. You do not need to fight for peace when you are peace. The strongest force in the universe is stillness, not aggression. The most powerful man is the one who no longer reacts. He sees the storm, yet remains calm. He sees the chaos, yet remains centered. He sees the loss, yet remains grateful. That is not indifference. That is transcendence. You must understand, surrender is not a single act. It is a continual practice. It is waking each day and saying, "I release my need to control what I cannot. I focus my will on what I can. And I trust that all things are working for my good." You act, yes. You strive, yes. You build, yes. But you do it with open hands. You do it from faith, not from fear, from power, not from pressure. Then miracles unfold in ways the mind could never have planned. When you surrender, life stops being a battlefield and becomes a dance. The rhythm carries you. The steps come naturally. You stop fighting the beat. You begin to move with it. This is the flow state the great master spoke of. This is what the ancients called Wu Wei, effortless action, the paradox of supreme effort without strain. And in that state, you do more with less. You achieve without anxiety. You succeed without sacrifice. Because you are no longer forcing life, you are allowing life. Now hear me clearly. Surrender is not the abandonment of will. It is the alignment of will with wisdom. When you live this way, nothing can truly shake you. People may come and go. Plans may rise and fall. But you remain constant. For you have moved beyond reaction into realization, beyond striving into serenity, beyond seeking into knowing. You have discovered the truth that all great masters eventually find, that there was never anything to fear, that you were never in danger, that everything was happening for you, not to you, and that your only true enemy was your own resistance. Let me leave you with this image. Imagine standing at the edge of an ocean. The waves crash, the wind howls, the sky darkens, and yet you are still, not because the storm has ended, but because you have ended your need to fight it. You trust that beneath the chaos there is calm. You trust that beyond the noise there is order. You trust that within the unknown there is love. That trust, that sacred, immovable trust, is surrender, and it is the highest form of power. So, my friend, when you learn to surrender, nothing and no one will affect you again. You will still feel, but you will not fall. You will still act, but you will not attach. You will still dream, but you will not despair. You will finally understand that the same force that breathes the stars breathes through you, that the same intelligence that governs galaxies guides your steps. You will no longer try to control life, because you will realize you are life, and that realization, that sacred remembrance, is liberation. So walk forth now with quiet power, move with grace, live with intention. Discipline your mind, ignite your purpose, and surrender to the divine flow that moves through all things. You are not separate, you are not small, you are not powerless. You are infinite intelligence in human form. You are the dreamer in the dream. You are the calm in the storm, the light in the shadow, the eternal in the temporary. And once you learn these lessons, nobody and nothing will ever affect you again. End of series. Once you learn these life lessons, nobody and nothing will affect you again. By Napoleon Hill, reimagined voice.